Hello everyone, and welcome to Rhode Island Food Network. Today we're going to be making some granola bars. We're going to be making two types of granola bars today. We're going to be making chocolate cherry granola bars, and we're going to be making apple raisin cranberry walnut granola bars. So we're going to get started here together by getting out a saucepan. We're going to start by cooking our wet ingredients on the stove top, and then we're going to combine everything together. We're going to press it to shape. We're going to let them chill, and then once they're chilled, we're going to take them out, slice them up, and store them away for snacks. All right, so let me get everything together here for you guys, and we'll get the ball rolling. So we've got our saucepan ready, and what we are going to add to that is, again, our wet ingredients. So we're going to use peanut butter. You can use any type of nut butter or sunflower butter. We're going to use honey. Again, you could use maple syrup as well if that's what you have on hand or if that's what you prefer. You could also use agave syrup. But if you do use agave, it's a little bit sweeter, so you would want to use a little bit less than what we're using for the honey. We are going to use some vegan butter here. I myself am a plant-based chef, so I don't use any eggs, any dairy, or any meat in my cooking. So we're going to start by combining these three in our saucepan. We're going to get it on the stove. We're going to let it simmer till everything's melted down together, and then we'll be adding in the rest of our ingredients here. I'm going to be making a double batch so I can split it in half and I can flavor it two different ways. So we're going to start with our peanut butter or our nut butter. We're going to use 1.5 cups. Got a nice big peanut butter here, so my measuring cup will fit right in. Want to make sure we're getting a nice level cup here, which it looks like we did. So we are going to put in our cup, and then we are going to add into that another 1/2 cup of peanut butter. To save on the mess, I'm going to use the same cup. I'm just going to fill it halfway. I'm going to get it as close as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, awesome. So we've got 1.5 cups of peanut butter in our saucepan. Let's scoop out all this extra goodness. Let me take this one off the ring so we don't have a peanut butter mess on our hands. All right, perfect. So to the 1.5 cups of peanut butter, we are going to then add 1 cup of honey. It's running a little slow. It's winter here in New England, so it's a little bit chilly, a little cold. I'm actually hoping to get some beehives for this spring, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. My neighbors have beehives, and every fall they bring us this wonderful, wonderful honey that comes fresh from their hives. And local honey is the best honey because it gets your body used to the local pollens in your area, especially if you have like seasonal allergies. It's really good to use local, super local honey. If I do get my beehives, I will most definitely put up some videos. It's very, very fascinating, so I want to make sure to share all of the fun things that I do with you guys. All right, cool. So we've got a cup here of our honey. We're just going to add it in. If your honey does crystallize, you could always just warm it a little bit, and it will melt back down. Mine is slow running because it is starting to crystallize due to the cold weather here that we're experiencing. Okay, so now we have 1.5 cups of our peanut butter. We have 1 cup of our honey. And we are going to add in some of our vegan, dairy-free butter. So we're going to add in 4 tablespoons. So let me just scoop them here. Now I have left the butter out so it is a little melted, so it'll be more easy to work with. This Earth Balance butter is absolutely fantastic. It's my favorite to use. But it does get very, very hard in the refrigerator. So when you're baking with it, it is nice to leave it out so it can loosen up a little bit for you, make it easier to scoop. All right, and now we have our 4 tablespoons of butter. And what we are going to do is we are just going to mix these together. I am going to put the saucepan on the stove on a medium-low heat. We're going to let it get up to a simmer. Once it begins to simmer, we are going to leave it simmering for about a minute. And then we are going to take it off the stove. We are going to add some vanilla extract and some salt. And then we are going to combine that with our oats and our additives. So as you can see, I'm just mixing everything together here. I want it all fully combined before I put it on the stove. That way it melts evenly. We don't have any hot patches. So again, I'm just mixing it well. As you can see, it's becoming one consistent color. It's exactly what I'm looking for. I am going to put it on the stove again on a medium-low. And then I will show you guys what it looks like when it comes to a simmer. And while that is cooking, we'll get the rest of our ingredients together for our granola bars. All right, awesome. So again, we're going to make 2 different types of granola bars tonight. We are going to make our chocolate cherry, and we are going to make our apple, raisin, cranberry, walnut. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take our oats, and I am going to cut the recipe in half. So that way I can have our hot mixture. I can evenly divide it between the 2 bowls, add my additives in, give them a quick stir, and be ready to form my bars. So what I'm going to need is I'm going to need 2.5 cups of rolled oats. I'm going to use old-fashioned oats so I get a nice chewy granola bar. So I'm going to put 2.25 cups into each of these bowls. Got 1 and 2. And again, I'm going to put these into 2 different bowls because I am making 2 different variations of granola bars tonight. Now these are a great healthy snack. They're good for the kids, for school snacks. They're good for you for a work snack or just for an anytime snack. We really enjoy granola bars in my home, and it's nice to be able to make them yourself so you know exactly what's going into them. There's no preservatives, no weird ingredients you can't pronounce. And you get to flavor them however you choose, which is a great thing. So again, each of these bowls has 2.25 cups of oats. Now for our chocolate cherry bars, we are actually going to add a little extra crunch to them. And I'm going to do so by adding these wheat puffs I have here. They're kind of like puffed rice. They're just made with a different type of grain. So I am going to add about 3/4 cup of these. And again, this is going to be going into my mixture that I'm going to be making chocolate cherry flavored. This is just going to give it a little extra crunch. Maybe go a little more than 3/4 cup. We'll put a full cup of them in there. going to get a spatula. I'm going to give it a little stir. That way we've got these fully combined together. I'm going to check on my mixture on the stove. I'm going to give it a mix, and we'll see what that looks like. So it's just now starting to melt. As you can see, it's getting looser in the pan. When I stir it up, the underneath is very liquid. And I will continue to show the process as it cooks down. So I am just going to mix it up very, very well. And I am going to let it keep warming till it comes to a simmer. All right, awesome. So next we're going to add our additives to our bowl, which we have here with our oats and our oats and puffed wheat. So again, in our puffed wheat and oat, we're going to be doing cherry chocolate. So I have some dried cherries here. This is going to be my cherry flavor. I'm going to add approximately a half a cup of these. Now they're a little sticky, so you want to make sure that you break them up as they go into your mixture. So I'm just going to do that here as I drop them in. And again, you can use anything in your granola bars. You could use raisins, you can use craisins, you can use any sort of chips you want, chocolate chips, peanut butter chips, caramel chips. They're also really good if you make like a cinnamon raisin, or I am also going to be using a nut and dried fruit mixture, and that is also a really good combination for granola bars. Again, these are just sticky, so I'm kind of just separating them with my fingers and sprinkling them into my mixture here. We want each bar to have a little bit of everything. So we don't want all of our cherries clumped together in one area of our bowl. And again, while we do this, we have our peanut butter, our honey, and our butter melting on the stove. We're going to be bringing it to a simmer slowly. You don't want to bring it to a simmer too quickly because you don't want your peanut butter and sugars burning. It'll leave a very bad flavor, and we definitely don't want that. So again, I am just going to give these a stir so everything is mixed in. Again, we want everything to kind of be fully combined. We want every granola bar to have a little bit of goodness in every bite. And again, I'm just going to check on our mixture that's warming on the stovetop. It's starting to get looser and more liquid, which is exactly what we're looking for. That tells me that it is about to come to a simmer. It comes to a simmer when it starts to boil a little. You start to see some bubbles. So as you see, it's much, much thinner than it was to start. It has loosened up into almost like a liquid form, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So we're just going to keep that going on the stove. I'm working on getting a cook cam, so you guys will be able to get an overhead of the stove while I'm here cooking on it. And then in my other bowl here, where I just have my rolled oats, I'm actually going to be adding my apples, raisins, cranberries, and walnuts. So I have this dried fruit and nut mix. It's actually already apples, cranberries, raisins, and chopped walnuts all combined together. So it's nice and easy for me. Everything's here. I'm just going to cut it open, measure it, and pour it into my bowl. And for this, we are going to be adding 1.5 cups. We've got 1 and 1/2 cups of our apple, cranberry, raisin, and walnut mixture. And to this, I'm actually going to add a little bit of cinnamon for some extra flavor. Just going to sprinkle it on, probably about a teaspoon or two. You wouldn't want any more than that. You don't want it to be overpowering. Just going to give this a mix. Get everything incorporated together here. Smells good. I love the smell of cinnamon. It's one of my favorite smells. Reminds me of fall and winter and the holidays and good cooking. Alright, so now that we have our two mixtures combined here, I am going to check again on our hot mixture on the stove of our peanut butter, our honey, and our dairy-free butter. So it's not quite at that simmer yet. Again, we want to keep it on a low to medium-low heat. We don't want it warming too quickly, because if it warms too quickly, the sugars will start to caramelize and burn, and they will leave a very unpleasant flavor. So let me just show you here how it is much runnier of a consistency. Again, everything is melting together exactly the way we want it to. It's starting to warm, and it will be starting to bubble soon for us. Again, we don't want a rapid bubble. We just want a nice simmer. And while that continues to cook, I'm going to prepare my baking pans. So what we're going to use to ensure that our granola bars don't stick and they're easy to remove is parchment paper. Parchment paper is like my best friend in the kitchen. Helps keep my pans clean, makes cleanup a lot easier, and it is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So I have two pans here. I have a glass baking pan, and I just have a little square cake pan here. I'm going to line both with parchment paper. I'm going to use my scissors to cut them to size. But they don't have to be perfect. You just want them as close as possible. Alright, so I'm going to run my parchment paper in one direction, and then I am going to run it again in the other. Looks like I might be able to get away with using the scrap piece here in order to do that, which is awesome because I hate wasting things. Alright, great. I'm just going to push this parchment down. And then when we pour in our granola mixture, it'll be heavy and it'll help to hold down the parchment paper. And I'm going to do the same thing with my cake pan. But first, let's check again on our peanut butter mixture. I hear a little bit of popping, which is telling me that it is starting to simmer. Again, we want to mix everything up. We don't want to leave it unattended because we don't want it to burn. Okay? So we've got our mixture here. And it's starting to bubble. And so that is telling me that it is coming to a soft simmer. I'm going to let it simmer for 1 minute while stirring it continuously because I don't want anything to stick down and burn. I'm going to get a pot holder ready so I can put it right on my table while we move on to our next step. We've got our mixture here. We've got one lined pan ready. I'm going to line the other one here really quick. And this one I'm just gonna push the parchment paper down in there. Because it's a smaller pan, I'm only gonna need one piece. And that's gonna cover all 4 sides for me, so nothing sticks to my pan. And it'll be easy to lift out the granola bars when we're done. So we're going to need some vanilla extract next. We're going to add that to our peanut butter, honey, and butter that came to a simmer. And we are going to add 2 teaspoons because we are making a large batch. So we've got 1 and 2 teaspoons of our vanilla extract. I only use pure vanilla extract. Imitation vanilla extract, actually, it's derived from an animal. And again, I'm a plant-based chef, so I don't use anything that comes from an animal in my cooking. So we're just going to mix this in so it's fully combined. Be careful because the mixture is very, very hot. All right, and now that that is incorporated, we're going to add our salt. We're going to add a teaspoon of salt. I use sea salt, pink Himalayan sea salt. You can use regular iodized table salt. It doesn't matter either way. Just there so we have a little extra flavor. So I am just going to do 1 teaspoon. I'm going to dump that right into our melted mixture. I'm going to stir everything in very well so it's fully combined. That way our vanilla and our salt is throughout the whole mixture. And then we're going to pour half of this in one bowl, half of it in another, mix it up, get our granola in the pans. We're going to chill it, and then once it's chilled, we are going to take it out and we are going to cut them up into bars. So I'm going to start with my apple, raisin, cranberry, walnut mixture. All we have is rolled oats and our nut and dried fruit mixture. I'm going to take that, and again, I'm going to pour in approximately half of my warm peanut butter, honey, and butter mixture here. So that looks like about half. I'm going to set this aside and I am going to quickly stir all of this together. So our warm mixture is going to act like a glue. It's going to hold, it's going to hold everything together. It definitely can get a little messy in the kitchen, but that's okay. It's part of the fun, right? Again, we want it to be fully incorporated. We want all of our oats and our additives to be covered in our nice, warm, sweet peanut butter, honey, and butter mixture that we just created. Again, we add a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of salt to that. And now we are just mixing it in. So the key to making granola bars, as opposed to regular granola, is pressing it into the pan. I know that sounds kind of silly, but you will see what I mean in just a minute. If I was to take this and lay this out on a baking sheet and pop it in the oven, it would turn basically into a granola for me. Nothing would come together, everything would kind of separate, and we would get a nice, peanut butter covered granola. But we want bars. So I'm actually going to add a little teeny bit more of my liquid mixture here. Not too much because we're going to need that for our other. Just going to give it one more quick stir, making sure everything is combined. And let me clean up this little bit of a mess I made here. You want to clean as you cook because it makes it easier later. Let me get some of this peanut butter off of my hands. Alright, perfect. So I'm going to take our granola bar mixture. I'm going to pour it right into my parchment paper lined pan. Again, you want to make sure your parchment paper is going up with the sides, that way nothing is sticking. I'm going to use my spatula to start to press down my granola so it gets into all of the corners of the pan. We want a nice even layer so we can cut it into bars. And once I have done a well enough job with my spatula here, and I feel that the mixture is pretty even, as you can see here, I'm just using my spatula to press it down. Then we need to apply some real force to keep these together. And we are going to be doing that by taking another measuring cup that we have here, and we're going to be using the bottom of it to apply force to press down on the granola. So I'm just going to take the cup, I'm going to start in the corners, and I am just going to press. Making sure to get all of the spots, making sure it is nice and level and even. And then again, we are going to set these in the refrigerator to chill. They should chill for about an hour before you cut them. Alright, so I am just firmly pressing my granola mixture. Again, I want to make sure to get from corner to corner. I want to apply a lot of pressure so that it compacts our granola and our peanut butter, syrup, and butter mixture together. Alright, so it's not really moving down anymore when I press on it. I think I got it pretty well compacted here. As you can see, it's now nice and flat. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in the fridge to chill. I'm actually going to put mine in the freezer so it chills a little bit quicker for you guys, but you should just put it in the refrigerator and let it sit for an hour. Now on to our next mixture. So in our next mixture we have our rolled oats, we have our puffed wheat, and we have our dried cherries. Now this is going to be chocolate cherry, so we are going to add in some chocolate chips. I did wait because I want the peanut butter mixture to cool a little bit so it doesn't completely melt our chips. We do have mini chips, so they are probably going to melt quite a bit. But let's get started here by pouring the rest of our melted peanut butter, butter, honey, vanilla, and salt goodness right into this bowl. Again, you can flavor these however you like. You can use any type of nut butter that you choose. If you don't like peanut butter, you can use almond butter. If you're allergic to nuts, you can use sunflower butter. And they will all work the same. It's basically just, a nice glue to hold everything together. So I use a spatula, got my pan scraped pretty well clean. And again, I am just going to mix everything together here. So this is starting to come together very nicely. And now we are going to add our chocolate chips to the mix. Again, I waited to add them because I wanted the peanut butter to cool a bit so it didn't completely melt them as we added them in. I'm going to add about a half a cup. My hands are a little too greasy from the peanut butter to rip it, so we'll use our scissors. Once I add this half a cup, I'm going to just look at the mixture. We're going to see how it looks. If I think I need a little more, I'm going to add a little bit more. It is a little sparse on cherries, so I might actually add a few more dried cherries to the mix as well. So let's get this in and let's see what this looks like. So that's half a cup of dairy-free semi-sweet chocolate chips. These are made by Enjoy Life, and they are fantastic. They taste just like regular chocolate chips. You're not going to be missing out on anything. In And if you're not plant-based, you can use regular chocolate chips, but I strongly suggest that you try some of my recipes plant-based. You're not going to be losing out on flavor. The only thing that you're going to be doing is gaining by not having extra added cholesterol and, other items in your food that are harmful to your health and also harmful to the environment. So the chocolate chips are holding up pretty well, and I think that is a good amount of chocolate chips. But I am, like I said, going to add a little bit more cherries and then maybe some more chocolate after. We'll see. My kids are big fans of chocolate, so these might be special ones that I make for them for snack tomorrow. At-home school snack, because we're doing distance learning in our home. Luckily, our local school district provides a teacher who's on all day with the kids. They have a very well scheduled routine, and the kids can just sit in front of their Chromebooks like the rest of the class is sitting at their desk and attending. And it is a wonderful thing. Okay, cool. So we added in a few more cherries. And I'm just going to sprinkle in a few more chocolate chips. These are just additives, so the measurement on these doesn't have to be exact. Just want to add enough that every bite of your granola bar is going to have some of your yummy, delicious goodness inside. And then once this is well incorporated, we are going to do the same thing that we did with the last, where we put it in the baking sheet or the baking pan, and we are going to press it down. As you can see, it's starting to turn a little more brown. That's because some of those chocolate chips are melting in. Again, that's okay. We just want the chocolate flavor. Whether the chips are whole or melted chocolate, it doesn't matter because the delicious flavor is still going to be there. So I am going to dump this mixture right into my parchment paper lined baking sheet. And I am going to use my spatula again. Let's stack these in a way that makes sense. I'm going to use my spatula to start kind of spreading everything out. And then once I feel as though everything is spread as evenly as I can get it with a spatula, I am going to come in with my measuring spoon or my measuring cup again, and I am going to press everything so it is firmly held together. Alright, so I think I've got my spatula work done about as much as I can get it. So as you see, it's still a little bumpy, and everything is not compressed well together. We don't want granola, we want granola bars. We want these to hold shape. Again, I'm going to take my measuring cup, and I am just going to go from corner to corner, and I am going to press everything in. Now it is sticking a little bit to my measuring cup. You could grease the bottom of your cup to prevent that. But because of the peanut butter and our dairy-free butter that we melted with the honey, it has a good amount of oil in it, so it's not all that sticky. But again, if you find that it is sticking too much to your measuring cup, please feel free to just add a little dairy-free butter or a little bit of oil to the bottom of your measuring cup. And again, you want to press very firmly. You want to give it some oomph. Looks delicious. I may try this at home. Oh, thank you for watching, and thank you for joining us here. Yeah, we're making some snacks for school, right? Kids are home, and all they want to do all day long is snack, and I got to keep those snacks coming, so I'm trying to make them as healthy as possible. It's a new year here. Trying to eat a little bit healthier. I've actually been offering some private cooking classes for kids as well. So if you would like some information about that, please send me an email at rhodeislandfoodnetwork@gmail.com, and I can send you the links to our upcoming classes. Currently, we are meeting every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are making a healthy, savory, and sweet snack. And that is for ages 7 through 18. If you do have a younger child. I prefer that a parent is present to give them a hand when they need it. And then we also have a lunchtime cooking camp that's going to be going on during both February break and April break. So again, if you'd like some information, please send me an email at rhodeislandfoodnetwork@gmail.com. I would be more than happy to share the registration links with you. I also offer private cooking lessons as well. If there's something that you've always wanted to know how to cook, or you've always wanted to become a little better at, I'd be more than happy to walk you through it. All right, so this one's taking a little bit longer to compress because I've got a larger pan here, but it looks like everything is pretty well together and combined. And I am going to now take this delicious looking mixture and we are going to pop this into the fridge/freezer as well. So those are going to take a little bit of time to chill. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'd love to share some of my knowledge with you, whether it be about plant-based cooking or any type of regular cooking techniques. I have a plethora of information regarding culinary arts, and I'd love to share it with you. Again, I'm Chef B. If you are just joining us now, we had made some granola bars. We combined honey, peanut butter, dairy-free butter in a saucepan. We warmed that to a simmer. We incorporated vanilla extract and salt. And then we poured that into our combination of oats, puffed wheat, and whatever granola flavor additive you wanted. So I did 2 batches. My first batch, I used this dried fruit and nut blend. It has dried apples, dried raisins, dried cranberries, and walnuts in it. And it's all chopped and ready for you to use. So all I did was just add this into my oats, poured in my hot mixture of the melted peanut butter, honey, butter, vanilla, and salt. Stirred it together, put it in a baking sheet, pressed it down so we get them into, nice, solid bars. And then our second batch we made with our dried cherries, our puffed wheat, our oats, and in the end we added some chocolate chips. Now because the mixture is warm, the peanut butter mixture, our dairy-free chocolate chips did melt. So now we have a nice chocolate coating on our bars, which is going to be delicious. Whether the chips are melted or not, the chocolate flavor is still there, and that's what's important. Also, if you guys have any suggestions of things you'd like to see me cook, please feel free to leave it in the chat. Or again, you can send me an email at rhodeislandfoodnetwork@gmail.com. I'm always happy to take in requests. I'm really enjoying sharing my culinary adventures with you guys. I thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate you guys and all of your support. If you're not following, please make sure you follow along. That way, in the future, when we have our upcoming episodes, you'll get notifications that tell you that we are on live and cooking. We have a lot of special events coming up. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, so I am going to be making some Valentine's Day candies. Also, I'm going to be doing some buttercream frosting lessons where I teach you how to pipe different things with buttercream frosting that you make yourself. We'll be doing flowers, we'll be doing stars, we'll be doing writing, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I actually got my start doing baking and cake decorating, and then I decided that I wanted to explore the culinary arts a little bit further, and I ended up pursuing an education in culinary arts, so I was able to learn how to cook delicious food and bake delicious food. So I kind of got all, areas and aspects of culinary and baking and pastry covered here, and I'd be more than happy to share any of it again with you guys. So any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. Feel free to drop me an email. I usually get back to you within 24 hours. It might take 48 depending on how busy my schedule is, but I definitely will get back to you. I'm just going to check on our first granola bars. I know it hasn't been an hour. They are chilling in the freezer, which typically you would put them in the refrigerator for an hour, but I want to see if they're starting to solidify because I really want to be able to show you guys the cutting of them. Once you cut them, you can wrap them in parchment if you choose, or you can just layer them in a container. I have a container here with a lid that I'm going to store them in. You want to make sure it's an airtight lid container because you don't want your bars to be going stale. And these can keep up to 5 days as well. So this is a great treat. You can make it Sunday night and you have snacks all week long. Okay, so checking these, I'm just kind of feeling it. My edges have started to chill quite a bit. My inside is still kind of soft. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to cut them to size. And then I am going to just put them back in the pan and leave them in the refrigerator to continue chilling. So I'm going to put these back in for a minute. I'm going to get my knife and my cutting board ready. And then we're going to go from there. So a little kitchen trick for you guys is when you are using a cutting board, you know sometimes how it slip slides on your table and that's not safe at all. Just take a little piece of paper towel and wet it, or a dishcloth, slap it down on your table, and then when you add your cutting board on top of it, it is going to make it so it is a non-slip surface, which is exactly what we want. You don't want any slips while you are using knives. Also, more accidents happen with dull knives than with sharp knives, so make sure you keep your knife blades nice and sharp. I have this lovely little keychain. It is a coarse and fine knife sharpener. So this I used to attach to my knife case when I was out and about cooking. Now that I'm home, it's not on the case. I just keep it right in the knife drawer here. And that way I can make sure that my knives stay nice and sharp so they are safe. So again, let me take out that first granola bar. It's not quite chilled to what we need it yet, but we're going to slice it up and we're going to put it back into finished chilling because I want to show you guys how easy it is to cut the bars. So because we used our parchment paper, they're just going to easily lift out. And all we're going to do is just flatten that parchment. And you can decide what size bars you want to cut. Some people prefer square bars. Some people prefer like the long rectangular bars like you'd be used to when you purchase packaged granola bars. And as you can see, some of the sides are raised a little bit. I would imagine if you were using maybe a square container or something a little more flat, you would be able to press down the edges so you wouldn't get this little line here. But it's okay. I'm not too worried about it. These are for my snacking at home and my kids snacking at home. So it's okay that they have a little bit of raised edges here. So I'm going to cut this square in half. And then I'm just going to cut it the other way. I'm probably going to cut them about 3/4 to an inch thick. I don't want the granola bars to be too big and I don't want them to be too small. I want them to be just perfect. So again, we're just going to cross cut here. Typically, it'd be a little bit harder to cut through them because they would be more chilled. But again, I want to make sure to show you guys from start to finish. So we are cutting them before they are fully chilled. I am, however, going to put them back in the fridge so they can continue chilling before I put them in my airtight container. So they are chopped here. And I'm just going to lift one to show you. Again, they're soft because they're not fully chilled. But here we have our granola bars. Right? It's as easy as that. And now, because they're still in my parchment, I'm just going to lift my parchment back up. I'm going to place these back in my pan. I'm going to push them down. And here I can actually smooth those down, smooth those raised sides I was talking about. I'm just going to do that with my finger. That way when I take them out, they're all going to have a nice flat top to them. And I am going to check on our second batch and see if those are cool enough for me to cut as well with you. Again, I'm keeping mine in the freezer for quick chilling. Typically, you will put them in the refrigerator for approximately an hour. So this is our cherry chocolate granola bars. And these have started to harden up quite a bit. Again, we let our mixture cool a little bit first before we combined it. So I believe that's why these are more chill than the others. So I am just going to, again, lift out my parchment paper. And these I'm going to cut into thirds. And then I'm going to cut them again into about 1 inch thick rectangles. Let me move this bowl so you can see here. Yeah, so these ones are much stiffer than the other ones to cut, which is what we're looking for. And these ones also have our puffed wheat in them. Again, you could use puffed rice or Rice Krispie cereal, and it's just going to give it a little bit of an extra crunch in our granola bars. Our others were just made with oats, so they're going to be a little more chewy. Although they will have the walnuts in there, which will give them a little crunch, because we don't want our bars to be too soft. It's nice to have a variation in textures when you're eating something. And these ones I'm actually cutting a little bit thicker because the mixture itself has set thinner due to the fact that we're using a much wider rectangular pan. You can hear the crunch as I cut. It's a great sound. Again, you can cut your bars whatever size you like. And again, you can flavor them whatever flavor you like as well. If you don't like chocolate and cherries, or if you don't like raisins and apples and walnuts, combine whatever combination of flavors you like and add them in. It is totally up to you. So let me see if I can lift one. Oh, perfect. So look at that. Look at that wonderful granola bar. It looks just like a chewy bar out of the box. And it's going to taste better, and again, we're going to know that it has no preservatives in it. They're going to last for 5 days in a airtight container, so we're going to have snacks all week long. So again, I'm just going to lift these up. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. We're going to slide these ones in. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. It's alright. It's all good. Here. These. Set these ones aside. Those are just our edge pieces, so they're not actually full bars themselves. But these ones are perfect bars. We'll add these back into our pan here. And I am actually going to give one of these small little bars that we have here a taste. Now, I haven't tried the chocolate cherry combination yet, so I am actually really excited to try these. I think these are probably going to be my favorites. Oh, these are great. So, the chocolate and the peanut butter give it a wonderful flavor. Everything is sticking together really well. And our puffed wheat does make for a very nice crunch in every bite. So they have a nice chewy, soft texture like you'd want from a granola bar, and a little bit extra crunch, and it's a light crunch. I'm going to take these, get them back in the fridge, let them finish chilling, and tomorrow my family will have wonderful granola bars for snacking. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Take a look at them and give them an answer. And thank you again, everyone that joined me here. Please make sure you follow along on Rhode Island Food Network right here on Twitch. Again, if you'd like more information about our private cooking classes, you can email me at rhodeislandfoodnetwork@gmail.com. Again, I'm Chef B. Thank you so much for watching and have a great night.